Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make this cool Pokemon background using only the background tag in CSS and not with any SVGs or PNGs. So first things first, I'm going to be using this empty square here, just kind of replicating this going through. But before we get into really making this, I'll show you cool things that we can actually do with the background. First, I'm going to make our background color this nice yellow. That way it'll be a little easier to see certain things as I show you. Second of all, we're going to go ahead and start with making our background and adding a radial gradient. Now this is a function built in, so it's going to have parentheses and with the semicolon. And inside this function, we actually have a lot of really cool tools. One of them is a circle. So we can go ahead and put circle at 50%, 50%. And that's going to make, out of our entire square here, it's going to take 50% and 50%, and it's going to put it right in the center. Now, we can't see anything yet because it is actually, our color is not specified. So we're going to go ahead and add a color. And let's go ahead and do white, and we're just going to do 5%. Again, nothing is showing up yet, but that's because a gradient needs two colors in order to really function. So I'm going to put in black, and let's see what that will give us. And this one I'm going to put in for, well, actually, it's already working. It looks like it goes from white, so it's pure white until we reach about 5%, and then it's going to do a, well, gradient. It's going to transition slowly until we get to the very end, which is going to be this nice dark blue color that we have set for black. So I can actually go ahead and put 7% in here, and you see that changed the whole thing. Now, starting from the center, it's going to be 5% of our total space is going to be pure white, and then it's going to have about 2% of the entire space to transition from white to black, and then at 7% it's just going to be pure black. Now another really neat thing that you can do about this is you'll notice this 2% transition. If I were to actually change this to 5%, it's actually going to give me a solid line, and that's because at the very same the same exact pixel, the same point, it's going to transition from this white color to black. And so with that, we can actually get some really hard lines and actually create some interesting things here. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and add some more things. We're going to do another black, and this one we're going to do 7%. And then we're going to do another white, and this one is also going to be 7%. Now you can see we've created a ring here. Now, if we go through this, it starts at the center, 5% is going to be all white, and then it's at 5%, it's going to change to black, and then for about 2%, it's going to be pure black, and then it's that 7% mark, it's going to change to white very quickly. So you can actually make a whole bunch of rings and hard lines like this. I am actually going to continue a little bit more, and we're going to do one more ring around this. So if I go in here, I can actually add black again, and we're going to do this one for 9%, and then another white for 9%, and oh, actually, wait, I got those two mixed up. Cut that, and paste that down here. And now we've got these nice little, this nice target going on. And we're going to end it with another special tool. Just like circle, we can actually specify transparent 12%. Oh, I actually forgot to add one more thing. We're going to have black end at 12% as well. Cool. So now you'll notice that instead of having either black or white out here, we now have that background color that I set before. And that's because transparent is basically exactly what it says, transparent. Now you don't have to use this. You could indeed use a hex code, so you could do hex and then 00, and that'll give you the same thing. But for me, it's a much more readable using transparent. Okay, cool. So now we actually have the inside of our Pokeball basically ready to go. But you'll notice that it's huge, and I don't really feel like doing it one at a time over and over and over again. So there's another cool trick we can do called background size. So let me go ahead and grab this over here. Whoops. Background size is going to set this basically the size of the background to 100 pixels by 100 pixels. So a nice little box about this big. And you'll notice that instead of stretching or moving, what it'll do is actually repeat the image, just like a background image. It'll repeat until it fills up the entire space. So we now have a nice little grid. But you'll notice that these are not exactly in a perfect grid. So there's a few things that we got to do still. We're going to build this little by little. Our next step is to add basically the same thing that we did right here, but we're going to go ahead and do it again. So we're going to put a comma here, and we're going to do another radial gradient. And we'll make sure to end this one with a semicolon. And you'll notice that we now have much more. Now you'll notice after our radial gradient function, I put in a couple numbers, 0 and 50. And what these are doing are actually moving in that 100 pixel box. It's actually moving our second circle just a little bit lower. So let's kind of offset this one as well into this empty space. All we have to do is type in 50 pixels by 0. And now we've rotated that first circle we made into away from the center here, and we're actually putting it since our background size is 100 pixels, we are actually moving it 50% or 100. Sorry, we're moving it over from the center 50 pixels exactly to the side. So this is actually only half the circle is showing here, and then half of it's showing on this side, and it's giving the illusion of a full circle, even though it cuts off right around here. So remember, our box size is about this big. Okay, so let's keep moving. I'm going to go ahead and add our red circle, doing the same thing. We're going to go ahead and add another circle here, and that with a semicolon. All right, sweet. So you'll notice that we have a circle at 50% and 100%. So instead of having it at 50-50 and moving it over, we actually just set it to 100%. So it's going to go 50. So starting in the top corner, it's going to move 50% to the center, and then it's going to move 100% all the way down. So now half of it is covered from the bottom square, and it doesn't continue right here. So that's kind of a neat trick by using the 50% by 100% instead of moving it over by pixels. It doesn't repeat top to bottom. Cool. Now, let's go ahead and do the same thing, but for our white circle. It'll look very similar. Sweet. Now, same thing, we just set it as white with this black stroke. Notice that we are using red about 16%, and then that black from 16 to 18%. Now, since this is 100 pixels, our percentages are going to be really accurate to pixels. So this is kind of like saying 16 pixels and then this till 18 pixels, which gives us a 2 pixel stroke. Cool, so that's looking really good for our first Pokeball, but you'll notice that we are missing this line right here. Up here we have this nice little line to kind of complete the picture. So this is actually going to be up here. The order of these are very important. They actually stack on top of each other. So the first things are actually going to be at the top, and the bottom things are going to be underneath. So we're going to actually put in a linear gradient. Make sure this is the right one. And a linear gradient actually creates a line. Now, it looks like our linear gradient is right on the money in the center, but you'll notice that it continues on. We can't specify how long to make this line. So what happens is it starts here at the very bottom corner, and it will go up about 2 pixels, and it's going to continue across the entire 100 pixels. So just covering the entire 100 pixels, it's going to go up about 2 pixels. So we have this line here. Now what do we do with the excess? Well, there's actually another little secret we can do here. I'm going to take copy in another radial gradient and see what this one's doing. Oh no, this is the wrong one. We're going to move in this one. Copy and paste. Now this one, you might have noticed that nothing looks like it, or it doesn't look like anything's happened. Let's color this white and see what we see. Oh, we have a circle here. Now it's in this in between right at the center. So maybe if we move this exactly 50 pixels and 50 pixels like we did with our other things. Sweet, you'll notice that this circle that is now moved down 50 pixels, that's white, about 42.5%, covers our line perfectly. So let's go ahead and change that to our background color. And it's actually going to cover up our line. So even though there is a line continuing, we now have a circle over it. Sweet. So let's go ahead and copy these. I'm going to make another one for our other Pokeball up here as well. And we'll need another radial gradient. Sweet. So now it's covered. The rest is super simple. All you got to do is basically copy what we have, this red and white, and then we just got to move them down 50 pixels like we've done our other things. So let's go ahead and put these in. So you'll notice this is the same exact red circle as up here. The only difference is we moved it 50 pixels to get it that offsetting pattern. And looks like that's it. We now have a Pokeball background that you can use anywhere. Whoops. Go ahead and fix that. So we can actually make this our box here. Whoops. A different size. So maybe we want this only 400 by 400. Or maybe we want it an odd size like 449, 856. It's still going to fill in our background perfectly as it needs to be. Sweet. Anyway, that's it.